Hustle, hustle, yeah. Hustle.
What up, y'all? It's the one only Prophet McFly. You already know this is the rant of the day. Rocking out with your boy. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Happy hump day. Before I get into today's rant, I want to give a fat shout out to my homie District 6. He's going to be on Mike Hawk's podcast, The Hawk's Nest, tonight. It's also on GFBestSource.com, Grand Forks Best Source. You guys can check that out. I forgot what time it is, to be honest with you. I think it's like 6 or 7, but make sure you guys tune in, tap in. I know if you watch Politically Miscorrect, we give this impression that we're all, but it's not really like that. This would be a great opportunity for you guys to see some of that. With that said, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at, and this is Grand Forks, North Dakota. In high school, anyone that went to Jamaica High School with me is watching right now. Please drop in the comments and let them know that I am not capping. But I do remember some history teachers, I'm not going to shout them out, but spot up. But some history teachers actually playing audio from radio stations I worked at later. Like the Jerry Thomas Show, to be specific, I guess. Like, shout out JT. And co-signing people saying things that are blatantly incorrect, like not knowing which country was responsible for bombing us in 9/11, because there was no actual country, just a terrorist group. But and then like being wrong, like saying Iraq, Iran, Jordan, I don't know which one, whatever, and the co-host being like, yeah, all of them. Like, this is also a place where, they were happy that the Muslim ban got announced, even though most of the Muslim people they probably see and interact with are the ones that work in Walmart, are people that are from Somalia because of a refugee crisis and a civil war. But, Americans love to talk Civil War shit. In reality, none of us alive don't even know what the fuck it's about. And outside of Call of Duty, a lot of these motherfuckers don't even got the balls of pop guns and shit like that. It's a lot of cap. But I'm not here to judge people. My rant ain't about that. Getting a little distracted. So the purpose of today's rant is it's Black History Month. I'm keeping the Black History information going, and normally it's like some heavy, super important, dangerous, life-changing, life-altering, mind-altering, perception-altering, really important pieces of information I'm kicking to y'all. This time, it is, but it's of a different nature. So, drop an X in the comments if you were one of those kids who watched the X-Men show. For me, it was on Fox. Came on like an hour right after I got out of school, but yeah. So if I didn't have any after-school programs, I'll see it. And then Saturday, they would replay like 3 or 4 episodes. So even if I missed 1 or 2, I can like recap on Saturday and catch a new one. But when we think of X-Men and Marvel and like all the prominence that Marvel has off of the Avengers and everything, the Avengers were a novel concept. I mean, the Avengers exist because they combined a bunch of different franchises. That didn't even happen early in the Marvel process. Before they even got to in the comic book, Stan Lee and Kirby, they created something called the X-Men. If you don't know anything about Marvel Comics, Stan Lee was not just an innovator and creative. He made every franchise about a metaphor. So like Fantastic Four is about family. It's basically Invincibles, Impossibles, whatever that is. And then we have like X-Force. It's about assassins and really clandestine work, spy shit. We have Black Panther, right? Which is equally about, which is what Ryan Coogler, I think, did job is so much about Black nationalism and African and diaspora as much as it was about the Black Panther Party, which it's oddly enough was created before the Black Panther Party was created. So it became like a latent metaphor where it became like it didn't stand for that, but after the party existed, you can see the artwork ever change. And also you have to think about the time where blaxploitation happened. Even Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and Heroes for Hire, like they all merc work and selling out. They all challenge and approach different societal concepts and different things. X-Men was basically about the civil rights movement. Not basically, it was about the civil rights movement. In multiple articles, interviews, Stan Lee explains himself that Magneto and Professor X are allies and friends, and they very much are his representation in this conflict of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. The more rebellious one being Magneto, being Malcolm, the more peaceful one and seemingly intelligent one being, or not even seemingly, that's not even the right word, but I mean to me is more predictive and more analytical per se, would be Martin and logistical, and that would be Martin, and Martin would achieve that with his mind, hence the Professor X part. Even metaphors like Professor X being constrained to a wheelchair while Magneto has the ability to manipulate everything, including bullets. But that ability to manipulate anything doesn't protect him from hurting or protecting, like keeping Professor X from being paralyzed. Now, whether the movies is what you believe or the versions of comic books, whether it's the Infinity Universe, Ultimate Universe, or whatever, but the Infinity Stone, there's multiple, obviously, Marvel universes, but in most of them, Magneto is responsible or partially responsible for Professor X's paralysis, and you can say the paralysis is their willingness to engage, his willingness to engage in fighting back or conflict to resolve the issues of mankind not seeing mutant kind as a part of them. The whole thing of the Homo sapien superior is a Homo sapien. Still people. They were still people. But the metaphor was to make that the mutants were blacks and browns and minorities in this country. And the humans were not the minorities in this country. And the executive producer of the TV show in the 90s, the one that I guess gave birth to the premise that this stuff can make money and be done on a larger scale and had these awesome stories, also the director. So he's a black producer and director. He goes by the name of Larry F. Houston. Fast shout outs to Larry F. Houston. And today, on this day of Black History Month, I want to give you a salute, brother. Because without Larry F. Houston, I don't think X-Men exists and teaches a whole generations of people tolerance, but also catapults Marvel to a position where these stories can be seen. Like, yes, Marvel had a financial swing, and that's what allowed some of these rights to be acquired for cheap. That's post this show. And a lot of other shows, like Spider-Man's and stuff, were created without him that couldn't hit the same success. Maybe because it took a black man to understand the story that Stan Lee was trying to tell and direct it correctly. But for all my fellow X-Men heads out there, you owe a great gratitude to someone we never acknowledge. We always say Stan Lee and Kirby, but we never say Larry Houston. So thank you, Larry Houston. I salute you again, brother. And I mean, we should have known from the beginning where the Bishop character being a black cop from the future in Australia, like all of it, right? Like, we should have known the brother was behind that. But and not saying like he created Bishop, saying the story jumping off from that point, like that being the start of the series and everything. So thank you, Mr. Houston, and all the other black creators out there that do the second AD work and the gaffer work and the sound work. Before I go on rabbit hole and say some shit that's not even relevant to today's rant, I want to say thank you, Larry Houston. This is why representation is important. Thank you, Stan Lee. Happy Black History Month all. For those who don't know, the Orisha of the weather, the African god of weather, his name is the same as, well, not the Monroe, but the same as Storm's actual name. So the energy has always been there. And I appreciate black creators, even the ones we don't see, were forging ways for us. Black creators today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's the one and only Prophet McFly. This is my rant of the day. You already know the vibes. Playtime.